I need to install a new dishwasher in our kitchen. Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill with Live Simple, Live Free. Here's the deal. This is our house in Florida. It was built in 1950 and all of the cabinets are handmade. So I'm assuming they're all the original cabinets from 1950. And this kitchen has never had a dishwasher in it. Which means, of course, that we've been hand washing all of the dishes here since we bought the house 2 years ago. It's time for that to change. Now I bought this dishwasher, it's in the box, 2 years ago, right after we bought the house, assuming that I would install it right away. But there were so many things going on, I just never had the time. So now it's time. Now here's the problem. Part of the problem why I didn't install it, I didn't know where to put it. You see, here's the kitchen. There's no place really. There's not many shelves. If I'd put it in one of these places, I would lose the storage as well as the drawers. There's not many drawers. We can't really afford that. But what I was thinking about, I was going to sacrifice that in the drawer and put it right here. But here's the problem with installing it right here. This isn't wide enough. If I cut the cabinet right here where these doors are, the dishwasher is going to come out to about here. It'll clear the door, but it comes out past the countertop. And so I had two options. I could either replace the entire countertop, which of course would be an additional expense, but it also means taking out the sink and redoing all of the sink and all that, and I just didn't want to get into all that. So the other thing I was trying to do was figure out some way maybe I can put just some other kind of wood here, butcher block, something to patch it in, and it's just, no matter what I tried, in my mind, I just couldn't make it work. I think that's one of the main reasons that this thing just sat here for such a long time and I never installed it, is because I bought it and then I couldn't figure out how to do that, where to install it. But then I realized it's been sitting right there, right underneath of the pass-through window, for almost 2 years. It's not in the way. We can get by there. So I'm just going to install it right there, which means I'm going to have to build a custom cabinet around it, and the kitchen, the countertop won't match this one, but it will give us additional counter space. And I think that's really the best solution. It's certainly the easiest solution. So that's what I'm going to do. After I build the cabinet there, then I still have to run all the pipes down underneath and all that sort of thing. Now the electrical could be a problem. This just has a plug where you plug it into a wall, and usually you put a dishwasher on a separate line. But that plug right there, the refrigerator is plugged into it, and I'm going to just plug that also into that receptacle. I don't think it's going to be a problem with tripping the breaker. If they're both on, I think it should still be fine. Now here's why I want to do that. I could easily run a wire down into the crawl space and over to the panel. But here's the electrical panel right here in Elizabeth's office. It's embedded in the wall. I don't have any way to bring a wire up underneath and get it into here without tearing the wall apart. If this was just a sheetrock wall, I could cut a hole there, cut a little hole here, run the wire through, patch the sheetrock, it wouldn't be a problem. But with all of this wainscot and the chair rail and all that kind of stuff, that could still be done. It would just be much, much more difficult. There are special tools for that. You can get a drill bit that's like flexible, it'll bend, and you put it down there up through the bottom here, all the way down to the bottom, and drill a hole. And then there's a little camera that you can get that's like on the end of a snake. You can run it down there to see the hole, to run the wire down through there. I've done that sort of thing before. I don't have any of that equipment. My son Barry does, but of course he's in Virginia and I'm here in Florida. So I'm just going to try it this way with plugging it in at the same receptacle as where the fridge is. If it trips the breaker, then I'll have to go try to deal with it and run a line here, but hopefully I'm going to be able to avoid that. So this is now 2 days later since I recorded the first introductory part of this, and I've gotten a lot done. I got it unboxed. I got the handle on it. That's it. So I set the countertop on here just to see how it's going to fit. And when I purchased the countertop for our kitchen in our box truck camper, I knew I was going to need this too, so I bought an 8-foot piece, though I could have bought shorter. I bought an 8-foot piece, so this is the leftover from that project that I'm now using here. I have the dishwasher situated where it's going to be. There's room here for the door to open. But I was going to just cut the countertop off just there as I build a cabinet around this and just cut that off. When I lay it here, I realized we could use more counter space. So I'm going to cut this off so that we have the room here we need. But I'm going to leave this hang over, and that's going to give us another foot of counter space right here. And I think that will be good. I'm going to set this just to the side of that so I can cut a hole in the side of the cabinet and bring the plug out and plug it in there. So one thing that's nice about this whole old house, built in 1950, is that this is not sheetrock. This is lath and plaster. Usually I don't like lath and plaster, but because it is, the lath is wood boards running this way and then the plaster's on top of it. So I don't have to look for the studs because there's wood behind the entire thing. So I can just screw it in anywhere and it's solid, it's not going to pull out. That's one nice thing about lath and plaster. Now I got to cut this off right here. So now I'm ready to cut this countertop to length, and you do not want to cut it from the top like that. If you do, it'll chip it all the way through. You need to cut it from the bottom side. That way, as the blade turns this way, it's turning up like that. If you do it from the other way, then it's turning down and it'll chip it out. Also, I have a small tooth finishing blade here rather than a large tooth framing blade. All right, looks good, no chips. Now I bought a countertop end kit. because this is rough and it needs to have this on it. This matches the vine, or the, what is it, Formica, whatever it is on the other side. And this glues on. This is upside down right now, but this glues on like this. But before I do that, I have to put another spacer in here. This also came with the end kit, so that there's more to glue this to. And you just put this on here and then you just run over it with an iron and it'll glue, because there's already glue on there. You just got to melt it. So for now, I just need to glue this down. And then there's another smaller piece here, pre-cut, that came with the kit that goes right in there. I'm not going to nail this because I don't want to break this joint right here. So I'm going to glue it and put a clamp on it and leave it overnight. Okay, so now I got the frame built to hold it up. I got this cut to length. I got the supports in there to make it level. Got this glued. So now I'm going to be able to actually sit down for a while, because I'm not going to do anything more with this until tomorrow when all the glue is dry. Then I'll turn it over and mount it and put the sideboards on. Okay, so this has been drying overnight. I took the clamps off. Now it's going to sit just like that. We got room under here for some shelves or whatever we want to do. And we got a little bit of extra countertop over here. Okay, so several weeks have actually gone by since the last time I worked on this. In the meantime, we did our trip to Dominican Republic, a couple of other things. Now I'm finally able to get back to this. And as I start to look at it, I realize I made a mistake. I'm going to be able to fix it, but here's what happened. Normally, when you put this, you install this right next to the sink, so the plumbing would be here or there, and you bring the drain hose up across and you attach it to the drain for the sink. I don't have a sink here, obviously, so I'm going to have to bring a new drain pipe up from the floor to put the drain in. Here's the problem. This isn't deep enough, and I measured this to make sure that it was the same size as the countertop, which is standard, and then set this where it needs to be. Now there is not enough room behind the dishwasher for the drain pipe to come up from the floor. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So like I said, here's the standard size cabinet. I set the dishwasher to come out to the proper space there. Now down here, this is the drain that's supposed to come this way and hook into a kitchen sink. Since there isn't a kitchen sink, I'm going to have to bring an 1.5 inch pipe up through the floor here. And when I do, see how much space is here? There's not enough room for that pipe, and there's no way for me to hook it up. So what I should have done is made this cabinet wider so that there's room here for that pipe to come up. And that was a mistake that I didn't realize until just now. Any kind of construction work or construction project always involves a lot of problem solving. And I thought about this for quite a while, and I thought I was actually going to have to take this thing apart and move it further out and rebuild this thing wider. And then suddenly the solution came to me, because it's not that much too narrow. So I'm just going to take another 2x2 and lay it right there. Put this right there next to that, all the way around. And then as you can see, this is the pipe, 1.5-inch pipe. Now I have room right there to come up beside this and still be inside of the cabinet, which will be right there. So I'm very, very happy with that solution. It's much easier than I feared. The only difference will be that it won't be symmetrical. On this side there'll be 1.5 inches. On this side there'll be 3 inches. Like that. But that doesn't bother me at all, and I asked Elizabeth and she said no, that would be fine. I could possibly put another 1x2 over there, but I can't do the whole thing because it would get in the way of that plug where I'm going to plug it in. So anything I would do over here would just be right at the front edge. I'm not sure I'm going to bother with that. Okay, so now I got this cut away and I got a notch here so that when I put this in, there's room for the pipe. Of course, I got to drill a hole through the floor. All right, so now I have this extra 2x2 installed there. The next thing for me to do is to drill a hole right there for the pipe to go down through. I need to be careful that there isn't anything underneath, and I've already climbed underneath. There's no wires, there's no pipes, anything like that I'm going to drill into. The only issue is the joists. The joists run this way. I don't want to drill through there right into a joist. So I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to measure and find out if the joists are in the way or not. In order to do that, I have to find some sort of a common point that I can find from up here and from down underneath. This is a challenge to find a point like that. So here's what I did. A lot of people, when they see this, they assume this is a mobile home, a double wide mobile home. It's not. It's a custom built house. It's just built up on piers. So we had to put this skirting around it as if it was a mobile home. But right here, this is cinder block that goes out to, this is our laundry room. So there's one short section of cinder block right here. So what I did, the cinder block ends right there. So I was able to line this up with that, run it over here to the door, and line that up with where I need to drill the hole. And it's 42 inches from the end of the cinder block over to where the hole's going. So I crawled underneath and I took this tape and I hooked it on the cinder block on the inside, pull it out 30 or 42 inches, and it looks like I'm going to clear the joist by about 4 inches. So that's good news. So before I drill the hole all the way through here, the big 2.5-inch hole, I'm going to drill just a pilot hole, and so I can go underneath and find it. So if it's wrong, I can just caulk it up and then drill somewhere else. So I'm going to use the pilot drill here to get it started. Okay, so here's the hole right there where the drill came down through. So it looks like I'm going to have just enough room to fit it right there in that corner. Boy, that was really close, but it looks like it's going to work. That was tough. Yeah, so now I've got my hole here, and when I reach through I can feel a joist right there and another one right here. It just fit right in that corner. That was so very fortunate. So this is the drain pipe that comes in from the washer dryer out there. I'm going to cut it in right here This is the drain coming, the new drain coming from the dishwasher. I'm going to cut out this elbow and put in a T so I can connect that right there. One of the problems with having two houses, and I'm sure I've mentioned this many times before, is that I've got an entire shed full of construction tools, and I can never keep track of where they are. The proper tool to use to cut this would be the Sawzall, but my Sawzall is in Virginia, so I'm not going to go spend another 180 bucks to buy another one. Best thing I can do is this little jigsaw to cut this. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, that worked fine. Here's the pipe cleaner, and now the glue. Now another tool I just discovered I do not have here is a level. So I have to just eye this and make sure it's running downhill. I actually have 3 levels. I thought I had one in the camper truck that I used to make sure it's level when we park for the night, but I went to get it and it's not there. So I guess all 3 of my levels are in Virginia, and I don't want to go buy another one just for this job. And it's one of the most frustrating things about doing projects in 2 places. So I'm going to go over there and get a better view of it to make sure it's running downhill. I need to cut this off right here, put an elbow and bring it up so that it runs next to that joist. Normally I would put my level here, bring it straight down to make sure that I got it plumb, or up and down. Since I don't have my level, I'm going to do it in a very precise engineering kind of way and just eyeball it. Down from up here, right up there. Now this one goes up to here. And I will measure this. "16 inches. I'll have to go outside and cut this one. When you're gluing this, you got about 5 or 6 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, to make sure it's in place and faced in the right direction, and you can move it, and then it locks up and you can't move it anymore. So you got to get it in there quickly to make sure it's in the right place. Okay, that'll work. Now I'm finished under here, at least for the drain part. I still have to run the supply line. Now, as I began to edit this video, I discovered that it was way too long. It was like 45 minutes or longer. So I'm going to cut it in half. So far you've seen me build the cabinet, put it on the countertop, and run the drain line underneath. I still have to run the supply line, make all the connections, and do all the finalization. But that'll be in the next video, so join us there. Thanks for watching. Live simple, live free. You be blessed. See you next time.